So I'm going to start off with the team that I think is definitely the most disappointing team in the NFL this season based on results and expectations. I'm going to dive into the Big Apple and the New York Giants. Worst team in New York, which is not to be expected. Worst team in the NFC East, which is probably not to be expected. Eli, is he finished?
No, I don't think he is. I think we come into talking about this topic, and the Giants have just come off their first victory of the season and performed extremely well on Sunday Night Football. Very surprising, but overall they have been disappointing. But the reason they've been disappointing is because we knew they had this in them. We knew they had this performance in them against the Broncos. I think the Broncos maybe are in that list of a slightly disappointing side, because 1 week they'll be world beaters, next week they'll be a side who lose to a poor Giants team. A Giants team that was able to run the football with Darkwa against the best run defence in the league. I think that again shows the unpredictability of this league. I don't know where to move on for the Giants. Maybe they can produce this result week in, week out. They may be a side to sneak into a wildcard position. They only can afford 2 more defeats, mind.
I think the Giants are one of those teams where I think they just have so much pressure on the backs. I think a lot of people after last season, me personally as well, saying that I've tipped them for a big year, and then they just don't perform. I think they're one of them teams though that they may scrape into the playoffs later on, and they will perform because no one will expect anything of them. That seems to be the way the Giants work. Very disappointing so far, but like you say, another team that they did just beat, the Denver Broncos, coming up against the LA Chargers this week. Do they need a comprehensive victory?
I think they do, because I think I'm looking at the AFC West and the Oakland Raiders aren't doing too great. Chiefs have just been defeated. There's an opportunity to get in there for the Broncos to actually win that division. I don't think it's over yet, and if they can win comprehensively against a divisional opponent, it'll put them up in good stead.
Yeah, I think they need a big win, personally. I think Trevor Siemian, if he does get the start, which I assume he will do still, needs to get in there and he needs to go, right, I'm going to fire off 4 or 5 TDs this week. C.J. Anderson needs to say, I'm going to get in the end zone this week. The defence needs to get some turnovers. They need to come. We are the Denver Broncos. This is what we're all about. Trevor Siemian's got that team now. That he's been given that chance. Vance Joseph said, he hasn't been perfect. We all know that. But there's an opportunity against a team with a decent secondary, but I think a beatable team in LA. Broncos, I think, need a big win. I think they need to perform. And I'm going to stay in this division. Another team in that division that you did mention, the Oakland Raiders. Is it all because of, do you think they've been poor, or do you think a lot of it's fallen on that Derek Carr injury, which I know he's only missed the 1 week, but do you think that's maybe knocked the stuffing out of him a little bit?
I think they have been poor, I'm going to be honest. I mean, going off what we saw last season, they were one of the most promising sides in the whole of the NFL. I've not seen Amari Cooper's name pop up any time this season. I don't know whether he's injured. Do you know that?
No, he's not injured.
So his name's just not popped up at all this season, not making plays. Crabtree's the guy making plays. I mean, Seth Roberts hasn't been making plays. They're one of the best receiver sets, and I just don't hear any of their names anymore. I mean, running back wise, Marshawn Lynch has not delivered in the last few weeks. When you're getting more carries, he's just been not being able to get the yards. I don't know if that's a poor offensive line.
I actually think that the Marshawn Lynch move was a downgrade for them. I don't think that he's worse than what Latavius Murray was, but I think if you're going to come and get rid of a decent back like Murray, you don't pick up a 30-plus-year-old guy and put him as your starter and put the whole team on his back. If you're going to bring Marshawn in, yes, cool, I get that deal. That's completely fine. Marshawn's going to sell jerseys. He's going to hype up the fans. He's going to get the odd TD. But why aren't they picking up a young guy in the draft or giving Jalen Richard the start? They've got backs there. You don't pick up you look at what Adrian Peterson went to the Saints. He didn't go there as number 1 guy.
And it didn't work out for him.
It didn't. And he's gone to the Cardinals now. Yes, had a fantastic game, but that's because David Johnson's injured. Will Adrian Peterson still be the starter when David Johnson comes back?
Nope.
Will Adrian Peterson be in Arizona next season?
No.
I'm not sure he will be. Marshawn, I think that so much was put on Marshawn at the start of the season. The Raiders are back, Marshawn's back, this, that and the other. Everyone just kind of forgot that they needed to build a football team, and they look at teams like Kansas City strengthening, Denver, one of the top defences still. And I mean, we're talking about Denver being a disappointment, and I still think they're better than Oakland.
Oh, they are.
And I mean, even LA, they kept their pieces that they needed, and they're still poor. But Oakland, really, come on, where was the? They've got Navarro Bowman in now. Hopefully, he'll help the defense. But I think that it was all put on Marshawn, and they've kind of lost their way. They kind of lost what was all about Auckland last season.
They have, and even when they had all the weapons in that game against Washington Redskins, they were walked all over and just didn't show up defensively and offensively. So you can't just put it down to the fact that Derek Carr was injured.
No, exactly. I think it's been a weak start to the season for Auckland, and I hope for the sake of them and the NFL that they start to pick it back up again, because there's always a feel-good factor in the NFL when Auckland are performing well. Even as a Steelers fan, I think you'll say that, despite the classic rivalry.
I would like to see the Raiders do well in the AFC, and if this side got itself together, to an open AFC, as we discussed in another video, this is a side that could go all the way to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of the AFC, we're going to move on to another division that the other conference even that we've been talking about being quite open, the NFC, and especially the NFC North, especially with Aaron Rodgers going down. That's a disappointment in itself. But one of the teams that you said is quite disappointing, a side which haven't got a particularly poor record, but you expect a little bit more from them this season. Detroit Lions. Matt Stafford hasn't been the same Matt Stafford yet this season. He's got plenty of time. We've got a bye week this week. Is that time for them to sort themselves out and grab this division by the horns, so to speak?
I seriously think it is. I think they're going to have to get themselves down and say, Aaron Rodgers is injured. You're the best quarterback in this division. It was even debatable before. I mean, if you wanted to really push it, you could say he's as good as Aaron Rodgers on his day. But now it's just go in there, get the points. I don't even think it's his performances all the time that's ruining that. I really can't put my finger on why the Lions. Is it because they're conceding far too many points? The games seem to be high scoring. Can they close out a team? Because if they can close out a team defensively, they have more than enough firepower to get the job done on the offense.
I just think they can't finish off games. Personally, I think
No, they're not starting very well because he's having to make fourth quarter comebacks.
Yeah, and I think that they need to just start. And you talk about, we've got one of the best corners in the game. Darius Slay is a shutdown guy. Picked off Drew Brees, stopped him from getting the record of the turnover-free games. But they just don't seem to have enough about them which is going to enable them to, I think, go deep into the playoffs. And they're a team that still has that lack of playoff win riding on their back. They need to improve, and this is a good opportunity for them with Aaron Rodgers out to take this division, to go through as division winners.
I don't think Matt Stafford has a better chance to win that division.
No, I don't think he will, because I think Aaron Rodgers will stay at his peak for a while. Another couple of teams then, just to mention, I want to talk about Cleveland.
Yeah.
Still no wins. We weren't expecting Cleveland to go and dominate the division, but were we expecting them to maybe have 1 or 2 wins, especially against some of the poorer sides that they've faced this season?
Well, I think the unthinkable has happened. I think Cleveland have got worse. They look like a worse team this season. It's like really depressing. I mean, as an NFL fan, we have a franchise that are just. What's the point in them being there? Because they just seem to finish last in the NFL all the time, get the first draft pick, and nothing comes to fruition for them.
I mean, Myles Garrett looks like a great pickup. So I know I said waste the first pick there, but I just don't like the fact that Deshaun Kaiser's being benched already. Okay, he wasn't fantastic, but is it Kevin Hogan?
Kevin Hogan.
Yes. Does Kevin Hogan give you more? No, he doesn't. No offence, Kevin, if you're a keen Squib viewer, you'll be an ideal backup for Cleveland. Deshaun Kaiser, you've took him in the second round. The guy looked alright. He looked like he had relationships with his receivers. You had David Njoku starting to play well. The pieces were coming together, but then
Kaiser's back in now.
It's apparently Kaiser's going to be back in as a starter, but that's probably because Hogan did terribly. Why was Kaiser not just starting anyway? That's why I don't get. Cleveland have always had this problem. A couple of years ago, they had Manziel. Yes, okay, Manziel's a bit of a daft guy, goes out partying. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll bring in 35-year-old Josh McCown to start instead. No, just play Johnny Manziel. And then they bench him because he went out one night. Well, Johnny Manziel had won 2 games, I think, or he'd won a game at this point. He was the best hope they had. No, we'll drop him because we don't like his attitude. Can you just pick a guy, Cleveland, and stay with him? Okay? It's not hard. Cam Newton is daft. He does silly things. Arguably, he says sexist things. He can't throw the football very well. But every week he's fit. He starts for the Panthers, and they've been to the Super Bowl recently.
The thing with the Browns, though, is if they picked a guy, I mean, they have games against these divisional opponents. Apart from the Steelers, they can beat the Browns and the Bengals and Ravens, on their day, because they're nothing special. I think the AFC North is the weakest it's been in some time. So
and they go and lose to teams like the Jets as well. I mean, the Jets have been a surprise story, but
they've been.
But you know, they should be going on and trying to win that game. And I just think it's, like you said, disappointing for the NFL. It must be awful to be a Browns fan, especially an American Browns fan. Obviously, English Browns fans, you can kind of just pretend you never were one and support someone else. But you know, they're just so. When are they going to get it right? When are they going to get it right?
We don't know. We're looking this season. We're going, well, maybe they can get 5 or 6 wins. And now we're looking, are they even going to win a game? We're thinking, is it? It's a race not to finish 0-16 again, like it was last season.
It is disappointing, and yes, they're a young team, but they're a young, talented team, and
you can't keep saying that every season.
No, you can't, because you look at some of the rookies that have come through. I mean, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz this year look like 2 of the top 10 QBs in the league. Is DeShone Kizer going to be that next season? No, why not? Because he's not being given the opportunity to start games. That's why he's not.
Worst QB last season than
he was, but then Jared Goff was also a first round pick, and you think there's a reason why.
Yeah.
DeShone Kizer could be good. Cleveland will just start people and play all right. I think the whole of the NFL is kind of crying out for you to do that. And it goes back. It goes way back. Derek Anderson, the second string at Carolina, now has a great season at Cleveland. Loses 2 games to start the next season. Benched. He took them 10 for 6. You know
when this franchise started back up again, 1999.
It's been a mess, and they need to sort it out. I think we've probably gone on a little bit too long, and we don't mean to mourn at the Browns there, but it's just tedious, isn't it? That it's the same problems yearly, and you look at the list of QBs that have played there. They're not bad QBs. They're not bad QBs, are they? Hogan's not even a bad QB, but Kizer should be starting. Kizer should never have got the opportunity because. Hate me for saying this, Manziel should still be the starter there, because Manziel should have just been given the opportunity when he was there. He probably would have straightened himself out if he was playing games. But no, by suspending him, what's he going to go and do? He's going to go out partying. That's what he's going to do. If you started him when he was one of the best young QBs in the league, potentially that team's different. Shining light for them, Duke Johnson, fantastic season. Myles Garrett looks fantastic as well.
David Njoku.
And David Njoku does as well. They do have some talent there, but they just need to sort out what they're going to do with QB, and they need to win some games. Before we wrap it up, any other disappointing teams for you, James, or I think we covered the main ones?
Obviously one for me, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don't know why they're 2-3. James Winston getting injured last week, giving up points in the defence. Still time for all these sides to get back into the divisions. I don't think anyone's running away with it. Week to week league, as we said. It's going to be an interesting end to the season.
Yeah, I think the mention of the Bucs there, Mike Evans not having a big season, but then again I'm thinking about all these wide receivers that go early in the fantasy drafts this season. Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans. Who stepped up so far? Nobody is the answer. Nobody at all. So I think it's been a very open game, and as James keeps saying, it's a week to week league. We have no idea what's going to go on. The Browns and Giants is probably going to be the Super Bowl based on how the season started so far, because everything's just going to turn upside down, and who knows what's going to happen. So yeah, we'll end that one there. So if you can think of any disappointing teams, just let us know.